Hey, everybody, give me just a second for me to take care of something. For all of you who are coming in, I always try to make sure I'm posting it out to my page first, and then I start the show. So give me just a second so I can get that posted out properly. Alrighty. That's done. Hi, everybody. This is Breaking the Cage. This is Astrology TV with the Matrix Mind Media, and I am LSF, or as Matt likes to call me, I am the shaman. I go into, in case you've never seen the show before, I go into a little bit of astrology, a little bit of the human blueprint and what's going on with the physical body, whatever it is that spirit is giving me as we're coming into this energy. Now, I'm being reminded, I've been saying a lot about it being a new moon in Scorpio and a solar eclipse, but spirit is saying, no. We really need to look at it from the idea of we're in the fourth quarter of this year. The last quarter, we're like that last bit of the year. And what have you done with this year? Now, with that being said, let me have a sip of my drink. Because I'm going to do the things I always do when I start the show. And then I'm going to get back into what Breaking the Cage is about this week. So, I always remind everybody, because you see over in the top corner, it says Matrix Mind, or in that top corner, it says Matrix Mind. So this is going through the Matrix Mind Media. Matt has given me, thankfully, the ability to be able to post this out for everybody on his show. And everybody who does follow the Matrix Minds knows Matt does everything strictly on donation. So I'm always throwing out there, please show some love to Matt. He's got it could be showing love to Matt and the Matrix Mind Media in general. You could always check out the Matrix Mind page, Matrix Mind Media page, because he's always creating new, not crystals, but he's creating necklaces that he wraps specifically for crystals. And all of that money goes towards helping him, keep the Matrix Minds going, as well as he has his swag shop. And you can find all of that on the Matrix Mind website or the Matrix Mind Media page here on Facebook, or any place that you can find his podcasts and so forth as they go through live. Now, with that being said, I also have some specials that I've been running for a while, especially considering I know how much people are going through right now. I know that they are going through some major changes, and I've been offering my mentorship / reading, depending on where it needs to go. It'll go there, plain and simple, whether it's mediumship, whether it's shamanism, whether it's tarot, whether it's, whatever it may need to be. I offer that pretty much for $38 an hour. And some people book it weekly, some people book it monthly, some people book it for a couple hours. So, if you need any assistance, I'm always here for you. Just reach out to me, and we'll get you an appointment. Plus, I have the moon phases, which is now directed in the idea of astrology. I've taken the idea of the moon phase rituals that you hear from so many different people who are especially on their witchy or spiritual paths, and the idea of moonology. And there is a form of moonology going on in any kind of moon phase. Technically, it has 8 phases. It's not just 4, and a lot of people do not understand that. However, the actual astrology and what's going on in the transiting charts has a lot to do with you individually. So I do these moon phase ritual workshops with you all based off of your individual charts. So I'm looking at your life, your chart, what's going on versus the energy, and help you, abundantly be the best that you can be and grow and mature spiritually. However it is that is best for you, by looking at your actual chart so we can see exactly what is going on. I also have several other things that I have out, which is like your angel team with your ray of light and your blueprints. So I do personal blueprints, and you'll understand a little bit more when I get into the blueprint tonight when I go over the physical body. Everybody has a program that they are running on. It is the blueprint. But once we place your astrological energy in that blueprint, that tells me more about what's going on with your organs, with your chakras, with your emotional indifferences, and if it's possibly, creating a big illness or just things, blockages within the chakras that we could eliminate just by understanding your personal blueprint better. Any of that is information you can always find on my personal pages, or just reach out and contact me directly. Now, with that being said, we are in this week. This is October 23rd through the 29th. With Samhain coming up 2 days after this week. And you have this week, you have for those of you who do not know what Samhain is, that would be Halloween. It's just some people pronounce it as Samhain because they're more with the ancient terms. Anyway, so you have the energy of Samhain coming up. You have the new moon coming up, which is going to take place in Scorpio. This has a lot to do with it. Plus, you have a partial eclipse. The partial eclipse is going to be taking place. It's considered partial because we don't really see it here in the United States. The situation is, just because you don't see it, understand that energy is still there. It's still here on the planet. You just aren't physically seeing it, but the energy is still there. So you're talking about a solar eclipse on a new moon in Scorpio in opposition of Taurus, the North Node, and Uranus. In your independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, possession of you. That's a big deal. And it has everything to do with your relationships. But before I start getting into all of that astrology, and before I start getting into all of that blueprint information, Spirit was reminding me. It took me a little bit of time to figure out what Spirit was trying to tell me. But they were targeting the fact that this is the last quarter of the year. It's not just the solar eclipse that's coming in, or the new moon. It's not just that it's a 6-month period. Solar eclipses and eclipses deal with the past 6 months. And have you brought that into reflection? Have you brought that into understanding how you're going to shift your directions and make changes so that you're working towards the next 6 months? So one eclipse looks at the way life has been going and makes corrections for the next 6 months. Then a new eclipse comes in, basically according to how they move, because wherever the north and south nodes are, that is where where the eclipses will take place. And they move a little more than once a year, a little past once a year. So it takes them a while to get through each sign. But the thing here is, Spirit is directing me to the fact of, in the beginning of the year, some people follow it, some people don't. I have a lot of Native American background. And so I deal with a lot of the spirit totems and animals and so forth. And I kept getting the tiger over and over and over again. And for me, that typically means courage and strength and standing up, standing up for the little man as well. But they kept giving me no. And it was that. But they're directing it more towards a Chinese dragon. And when I finally realized, this was, or still is, the year of the tiger. Was I saying dragon? I'm sorry. The year of the tiger is what we're talking about. It's the tiger energy is what I'm meaning. And more importantly, when we get into Chinese zodiac, it's not just earth, air, fire, water. There's also metal and so forth when they look at their materials and the elements. But this year was a water tiger. And so I started going back in after what Spirit was directing me, because they're wanting you to understand, look at this whole year. See what you have learned and what still isn't getting through. And see what corrections you need to make, or where you completely missed the memo, because you are in that last quarter. Not to mention that we are in, like I said, the year of the tiger. Plus, I'm being given tiger as a medicine for us in general. But they're also reminding us, this has a lot to do with the eclipse energy and so forth. But it has even more to do with understanding, getting on track, and being ahead of the energy. Because next year is a water rabbit. And I'll go over that in just a second. Let's try to understand, because I'm not taking it just from, the totem or spirit animal point of view. I want you to see it also from the animalistic point of view. And tigers are very solitary animals. They're usually called, if you see, just like if you have a group of lions, a family of lions, they're called the pride. But tigers are not called the pride. It's a different type of family name, and it's called the streak. But you rarely ever see the streak as far as tigers go because they're solitary animals. When you do see the streak, it's usually because the mama bear's had cubs and she's still nurturing the cubs until it's time for them to go out on their own. So understanding this year had a lot to do with solitary energy. Being with yourself, coming to know yourself, deep trudging in your inward energy and really coming and pulling out that darkness and coming out clean. I always use that because that's what they just gave me. I always use that as, I like to use the movie for when you're working with the hollow bone and working through that shadow work and coming all the way through and back into the light. I use it as the Shawshank Redemption at the very end of the movie. If you've ever seen the Shawshank Redemption, he literally had to travel through a river of shit to come clean on the other side. And this is part of what this is, solitary energy. But understand that the tiger itself stands for strength. It stands for also exorcism of evil. It stands for braveness, courageous energy, assertive energy, finding the natural leadership in yourself. It is very much an animal that has a hunger for the thrill, okay? And with this, it's teaching us to release our fears, to go after and try the new thing, to be bold enough to go after it and, step out. It's speaking to us also of standing up for justice and integrity. But the tiger itself teaches us to live in our oneness, because it's reminding you, tigers ask you to slow down and be still and listen. Solitary energy. They're asking you to pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to what's going on around you. There's definitely something to learn there. And with all of this energy that's coming up right now, along with the eclipse, the new moon, and Samhain or Halloween, there's definitely something to see if you can be quiet and stick with yourself and learn what parts you're overcoming of shadow as well. But let's understand what Spirit's reminding me is the Chinese dragon and the year of the dragon is a water energy. So we have to apply all of that energy to water as well, which is speaking to us of our emotional waters. And communication. That has a lot to do with the tiger. Knowing how to be still, observe, have patience, know when and when not is the right time to take the action to pounce. But also the communication of deep relationships for what we are dealing with in our life. And are they really deep and important relationships? Are we getting to the raw bone of the relationships? Because that's part of what the water energy is speaking to us about. It speaks to us of the steady ebb and flow of water energy, the power of water energy, the strength of water energy. I mean, think about it. Water has its stillness, but it is also used to move things. It's also, hurricanes and tsunamis. The water can become quite violent as well. So this is not just, the ebb and flow of energy. It's understanding your emotional indifferences. Some of the virtues of the water energy is love and compassion, flexibility, as well as forgiveness. But some of the vices of water energy is the indifference that you don't understand. It is the depression that we put ourselves in, instability and our moodiness. But it also connects with our psychic energy, our psychic powers, our intuition, and our gut feelings, and knowing how to connect and communicate with our higher soul self. So that makes it very important. But see, the reason Spirit's directing me at reminding you the tiger energy, the water tiger, and they keep giving me water lilies as well. So you may want to also go back into understanding with the water lily. I believe it has something to do also with communication, but I did not look it up, and off the top of my head, that's too many things for me to remember. So they're giving me right now the water lilies with the tiger in the water. It feels like he's hiding in the lilies. So anyway, that's for you all to go do your own homework with. But the psychic energy goes with that. But they're reminding you, are you on point? Are you steady? Are you, extracting all of your evils, or the evils from within your life or surrounding you, so to speak? Are you, finding your courageous center to go after something with no fear anymore? Are you emotionally indifferent? Are you in balance? Because your emotions have a lot to do, and are you in control of them? The reason why it's so important is because, like I said, they're reminding us that next year is rabbit energy. Now, rabbit energy has gotten a name of being like the rabbit's foot, lucky and abundant. And it does. But you must understand why the rabbit is lucky and abundant. Understand, first off, the rabbit is just a tiny little creature. And it is truthfully has predators everywhere. It has predators everywhere that would try to eat it and take it and destroy it and harm it. I mean, even from the sky, okay? So the bunny has had to learn how to be smart, how to be patient, how to be decisive, how to be able to get its relaxation, how to be flexible. Rabbits are known for pivoting and turning directions really fast. This is speaking about making decisions. We're talking about a water rabbit for Chinese. This is what they're directing me. So this is saying make sure you're on point now, because this is going to help you be on point next year as we finish this quarter. Because you're talking about that water energy, that emotional energy, that psychic energy, your gut, your intuition, your body, understanding it. You're talking about those moods, the indecisiveness, the depression when you're not in control of your water, that when you're not in control of your ebb and flow. And we're talking about being able to make quick, steady, fast changes like a bunny does, because he's saving his ass. The bunny is lucky, but he's lucky because he's learned how to be lucky. So this is part of the key that you are being given right now. Now, it also speaks to you of the next year. If you are on point, it's speaking to you of tempering your impulses to know how to act and when to act. It's also speaking to you about making fast, raw decisions. And I mean, we're talking about relationships again. This is getting to the nitty gritty of these relationships and people, places, and things that are part of your life. And I don't like to look at it from the perspective of, well, what can you do for me? I don't like to look at it from that narcissistic idea. But I do like to look at it as it should be a give and flow. There should be a balance. There should be some kind of some kind of energy coming back and forth. If you love someone, they should be loving you back. If you support someone, they should be supporting you back. It should be patting you on the back while you're also patting them on the back. When they've fallen and landed on their ass or their face, it's you giving the hand to help them up and patting them off, as well as them doing the same to you. So this is asking us, are we in relationships with who is really like-minded like us? Are we in relationships that are soul connecting? Are we in relationships that are helping us in this way and supporting us as they should? Which ultimately, all of this is asking you, are you getting right with what is truthfully sacred with you and your relationships? If it's not deep and it's not raw and it's not coming straight from the heart, then it's mediocre and it's not getting deep enough. It's not punishable, so to speak, if I have that word right. But the point is, you're not going to be able to become a force that can't be reckoned with as a team, as a tribe, unless you guys are on that connection. Otherwise, there's something missing. And are you able to get right with these relationships or not? This has a lot to do with where we're going. Now, I'm going to get into the blueprint, which is the human body, and then I'm going to jump back into the astrology. Whoa. All right. And I always say the blueprint, every human being has a program in which they are running on, technically. And this would be all the houses in the body. This would be the planetary energy in the body. This would be the fixed stars in the body. It would be the chakras in the body and how all of this is working together. But then when we place your personal, individual planetary energies in here, if I was doing your personal chart, then I would be speaking to you directly about this organ or that organ versus this chakra, these fixed stars, and if that is helping or hindering you and what you need to be aware of so that you are not hindering yourself. But when I do it on a universal level, I can only tell you about where the energies are transiting at this moment so that you can be aware on if it is affecting you and your human body. You have Jupiter and Chiron, which are still in Aries. However, Jupiter is going to jump back, I believe, on the 28th into Pisces. So this is the most abundant of planets. It is the higher soul self energy, kind of sort of planets. It is the higher knowledge. It is manifestation. Sorry, I'm inhaling some incense and it's making me choke. It is coming into your problem-solving energy. It is basically over the cranium. It is speaking to you about your problem-solving, how you're viewing and connecting with everything. It's speaking to your nerves with Chiron here, and how the nerves is connecting all of the dots and placing it into that zeal point and sending it up and down the body for its energies. And I cannot say enough times that the zeal point, the optical lobe that is in the back of your head, that spot right there in the back of your brain that's still that is the bone. Technically, this is the zeal point. It's also known as the mouth of God. There's several different names for this chakra, but many people don't discuss this chakra. And it is literally what's taking all of your head, your mind, and your thinking energy, bringing it into reality, connecting it to the zeal point, sending the energies up and down your spine and into every single chakra, saying this is what we are creating, whether it's good or bad vibrations. Whether it is opening you up for psychic attack or protection, whether it is lifting you to a higher vibration or helping to pull you down. The way you view the world around you is part of how you will see the world and part of what the world you will manifest because of your thinking process. With that being said, Jupiter, until I believe the 28th, is still in the head. It is still in that processing. It's in retrograde. So it is a little bit too much abundantly in your head, talking too much stuff, asking too many questions, thinking too much, problem solving, making a new problem, problem solving, making a new problem. You're down to your 0 degrees. And Aries is a beginning point. We are going back into Pisces with this energy. We're going back into the universal 12th house, which brings that energy down to the feet. If your feet start acting up within the week or next week, that's Jupiter moving. And if your kidneys are starting to act up and your gallbladder and your liver, that's also Jupiter playing with what it's getting from your mind, from how you are thinking and you are, letting your hamsters stir up here, so to speak. And I'm helping you to understand this because, like I said, when Jupiter goes back into Pisces, it's going to be there until I believe mid-December. I could be wrong. I can't remember. I have a post out about it. I did look it all up. But it's going to be going back, and then it'll finally start moving back forward in the forward direction, bringing it back to Aries. But this is definitely going, what did I miss in the memo for the whole year? Jupiter is going back and abundantly going to give a slap down for the next 2 months on anything that's 12th house related: grief, sorrow, shame, blame, insecurities, skeletons in the closet. And where have you not tapped into the correction of it? Because he's coming back to force the correction to come to play. Chiron, on the other hand, is on the nerves, which is connecting all of that and sending it through to the zeal point. And what will be decided? Chiron's called Chiron because he's the wounded healer. He's great at picking apart everybody else's problems, not so good at starting and correcting and healing his. All right. So this is speaking about your mind, how you're thinking, what you're viewing, what you're seeing, and what you're hearing. Then when we get into Uranus and the North Node, this is the throat chakra, but it's also that zeal point. And remember, this is going to be taking place in opposition of the solar eclipse and new moon in Scorpio. So off the bat, it's questioning your ability to stand in your power, in your independence, your individuality, your uniqueness, your freedom, to harness your power, to harness your soul knowledge, to feel like you're in a power, like the tiger, who is able to be, controlling of his energy, know exactly when to pounce, or is he acting like a lion in a cage and impulsively, blurting out what has to be done? Because we are talking about the throat chakra: independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. You manifest from that law of attraction of how you feel about yourself and what you think of yourself. And this is asking you to get right with yourself, but the outer world's going to make you doubt it, going to make you question it, because that's what that solar eclipse is going to be doing with the sun and the moon in Scorpio. So your throat might be acting up. Not to mention, Uranus is directly on the tonsils. And then the North Node, which is everything you need to learn, is on the actual spinal cord, as well as the nerves of the neck itself. So this is could create, between Chiron and the North Node in the blueprint of the body, this could cause a tug of war with your verbal speaking, or with, feeling that dry mouth or getting choked up, because ego and soul are having a fight here. Okay? As you come into Mars, Mars is right here on your arms. It's your forearms. And you have to understand, I was saying last week that Spirit was saying for the rest of this month, pay attention to your body parts, because your arms and your legs are what stretch out and actually communicate with the actual world around you. This part of the arms is frustration. And the arms is also connected with the heart chakra. So this is where the heart is getting frustrated because it's not being heard, where the soul is not being able to connect because the ego is too loud, where the heart and the soul is going, well, if they'd only hear me. And that's part of what's going out into the world, is frustration and anger coming through this energy of the arms, your Mars energy. Pay attention to if you're, turn around, slap yourself into the wall. I was saying, you've got a lot of that coming in this week and next week as we come up to Samhain, because that's what Spirit was saying last week. Pay attention to what you're doing. You might trip. You may fall, you might slap your arm into the wall, These are all parts of your soul trying to communicate with you, telling you to slow down. Your ego has got too much going on, and your soul is trying to go, shh, 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 because we have a lot of inward work to do right now. You have Lilith and Pallas, which is on the pancreas and the gastric and blood vessels. as well as Ceres is in the abdominal, and Mercury is in the kidneys. So we are talking about actual, how it is working out through your stomach. We are talking about how you are removing the waste from your body. We are talking about what it is that you are consuming in energy, and is it getting stuck in here? I'm literally talking to you guys about having too much of this energy getting blocked up in the sacral chakra, blocked up in the solar plexus, and questions that are coming out. Like I said, Jupiter is also moving into Pisces, which is going to also throw up flares of that liver, the kidney, and the gallbladder, and the back part of your chakras. And asking where you are within your relationships with yourself as well as with others. And do you feel secure within these relationships? Or are you finding that your digestion is having a problem because you've been digesting the wrong energy? And this is all part of the blueprint and what the body is trying to teach you from a higher perspective before we get into the actual astrology. Then you have Sun and Venus, which literally, and they could not make more sense for what is going on right now. They're literally on the sexual organs, the sensitivity of the sexual organs. But we're talking about, in a form, fertility of rebirth. It is a new moon. It is a solar eclipse. It is Scorpio. It is let the dead to the dead. It is birth, death, and rebirth. It is transformation. But the problem with all of this is the South Node is also in Scorpio, going, yeah, but I bet you'll just be more comfortable saying with what you already know. You're going to be pushed on your sensitivity to step into what you're supposed to. And like I said, with what we were being shown in the beginning, from what Spirit was giving me, versus the water tiger in Chinese zodiac versus the water rabbit. And this is coming into, I've overcome these fears. I've overcome these shadow energies. I am lucky because I am smart enough now. I've learned these lessons. I know how to make it work for me. I know how to make this manifestation work and for me. And if not, this is all about the relationships and the people, the places, and the things that you keep. So if not, then it's going to be causing more chakra indifferences, more blockages, and shutdowns, because you're talking about going into a relationship with yourself as well as with others next year in the rabbit energy. And remember, the only reason the rabbit is considered lucky is because he became smart, because he has so many predators that want to attack him. So he has to be intelligent enough to always stay a foot ahead. With that being said, let's get into the actual week here of the astrology and get out of the blueprint. You do have a grand trine that is taking place almost all week. It's taking place until the 26th. This is Saturn. Saturn, which is also about to go direct. And it is in Aquarius. It is trining with this grand trine Mars energy, which is in your heart chakra. It's also trining. It is also trining Mercury. Now remember, I was saying right in the beginning that energy of the water tiger and taking the courage, the strength, the ambition to exercise all evils and fears from our life has a lot to do with getting to the raw depths of our communication within these relationships and being able to be raw enough, brave enough to go after what needs to be done. And so this is your rules, your walls, your boundaries of the outer world, the groups and memberships that you are part of. Your goals, your dreams, your ambitions can be recognized if you're in the right community, if you're in the right people, places, things. If you're able to stand in your power because you feel courageous, because you feel independent, because you feel integrity, and then communicate from the heart what it is that you want in these relationships to see it come. But this is all saying you must be doing it from an integrity standpoint. You must be doing it from a way that is going to benefit yourself as well as others, or at least show the truth so that you can decide what has to be done to make it benefit in general. The trine is there to make things better, but this is saying rules, walls, and boundaries, shifting of energies within your groups and your memberships. And that will support and strengthen the goals, the dreams, and the ambitions into coming into fruition. This energy is here right up until the 26th when it breaks up. You have Neptune and Lilith that are in communication this week in trines as well. And Neptune is in that 12th house. Neptune is magic. He doesn't care if it's good magic. He doesn't care if it's bad magic. He is illusion and delusion. He's fantasy and reality. It's just like right now. I get told a lot of times when I do these shows that they feel like I'm just sitting down with them having coffee and we're having this conversation. But a lot of people, by the time they get to the show, Lord knows what I'm off doing. It gives you the idea of something, but it's not exactly the whole thing because, like I said, it's a video. So you're talking about your magic in the 12th house. The 12th house is all about what has to heal in order to make a new cycle begin. It's dealing with your insecurities, your grief, your sorrow, your shame, your subconscious mind. It's dealing with your self-sabotage and where you do it over and over again and don't even realize you do it. It's bringing it into our attention and actually making us do the work. Jupiter is coming back here, forcing it on us. You have Neptune getting along great with Lilith. This is a good thing, but it's also a very bad thing. And I say it this way because Lilith is with Pallas, Athena, the warrior goddess, strategic thinking. But what's saving this situation here is Pallas, Athena, the warrior goddess, and her strategic thinking. Because Lilith in Cancer is all mothering and nurturing. But what she does is nurture everybody but herself. This is a very submissive energy. And the strategic thinking here is saying, do not forget yourself, or you will create without you again. This is saying create and remember. Sometimes it's good to be selfish a little bit because you have to love you, or you're never going to love anybody else in your life well either. The first supporting actress here is learning to love yourself. And to make sure that you represent your self-worth, your self-value, your self-esteem. That is your law of attraction. That is your manifestation. So this is saying it's okay to love others, but as long as it didn't make you not love you. As long as it wasn't you were doing for them, helping their dreams, helping them overcome this, helping them fix this, but you forgot to give you any of it. It is great to love others, but you're not meant to be on the back burner. You don't put yourself down and forget about yourself to help others. Magic is created when we remember this energy of the healing of that 12th house, the grief, sorrow, shame, blame, insecurity, the magic of magic, breathing it into life, of seeing a new cycle begin by learning where we've done poorly. So if you're seeing this, it's going to help you evolve. Now you have sextiles, you have Pluto, which sextiles means a lot of very positive energy. Good things can happen unless you get lazy. This means it's a time to take action. But remember, we need to take action right now, but we were also told last week that we need to slow down and do some inward conversation, inward communication, some inward depth research. And Spirit was saying last week, which they do stick with at this time, you need to go inward, but not necessarily separate. You don't want to detach from the situation 100%. You want to go inward and stay doing that work, but you need to still be aware of what's going on around you. And when we're looking at this is Pluto, the 10th house, Capricorn. This is the outer world, our outer authority. And do you have any authority in the outer world of your jobs, your communities, your society? Can you be pushed around and manipulated easily or not? And it is speaking directly, like I said, in sextiles, meaning there are opportunities here. It's speaking with Neptune, which is speaking with Uranus, as well as Lilith. So this is saying you're getting a tug of war in this. Are you giving too much? Are you not giving enough? Are you loving yourself? It's asking you, are you balancing your waters? Are you balancing yourself? Do not put yourself on the back burner. This is be aware of exactly where you stand in these relationships. Be aware of just how much love and nurturing you're giving versus how much neglection are you giving yourself. Make sure that there's no neglection here, that you're not neglecting yourself. It's like I use this energy a lot of times when I speak of like divorce cases. I'm sorry, but when I'm dealing with a lot of my clients, I deal with it in a lot of this ways, like divorce cases. And when we were looking at child neglect and child support and things along this line, is the support really happening? Is the neglect really happening? Because this is a part of what you get stuck in your head is acceptable, and it's not. Self-love is important. It's great to love others, but not to neglect yourself for the love of others. So this is asking you, are you willing to still stand in that outer world, show that you have authority, that you love yourself, but you're capable of loving others, even when it has to be like, I don't necessarily agree with you, but you're entitled to your opinion. I'm also entitled to mine. Sometimes that's exactly what it is. And sometimes you have to part ways. It's that simple. But you also have this Pluto energy, which is working with Jupiter. And like I said, Jupiter's at 0 degrees right now in Aries. It's still looking at, what am I having to take back with me into the 12th house? Because we can't get over this hump. Because we haven't fixed the cycle. And what am I going to spend the next 2 months on? Kicking your butt to force you to learn to fix this cycle. So this is getting into the into the, the nitty gritty raw bone of your relationships and your soul self and your depth. And is it sacredly important to you or not? You also have Saturn, which is not getting along. Saturn, which is getting along great with Chiron. So Saturn is trying to give Chiron the scoop here. Saturn in the 10th house, your 11th house, your groups, your memberships, your committees, your work friends, is telling you just who does have your back and who doesn't. Who's full of shit and who really stands beside you. And who you need to move those rules, laws, and boundaries around for. And remember, when you start actually working with your boundaries, yes, it pisses people off because they've gotten used to you being this person when you're no longer going to be manipulated and take their shit. And sometimes it's not even take their shit. It's they've gotten used to you. I'll just do this and I'll just do that. And don't worry about it. Hand it off to them. It's like I always say, I use this as a work environment idea when I'm like the big boss who owns the company gives some job down to the next person, and then the next person gives it down to the next person, the next person gives it down to the next person, and then you're finally down to the little man, and the little man's got so much on his plate to do, it's impossible. No, if it's not your problems, push that shit right back up that hill and give it back to who it belongs to. This is saying Saturn and Chiron. Chiron's in the 1st house, still trying to start new cycles, starting to become brave enough to actually go after these new cycles, to breathe healing into your life. And like I said, Saturn is your rules, your walls, your boundaries, and going, where is it supporting you and where is it not? What changes do we have to make? So he's giving you the blessing. It's just will you take the action? Will you do it? Now you have the moon all week that is going to be traveling through Libra, Scorpio, and then Sagittarius. Now, like I said, you're technically going to have that new moon with the solar eclipse taking place in Scorpio. So the day before this, when we're in Libra, I hate to say this, but I'm going to throw it out there that way. Libra, I tell people all the time, I love Libras, but I also want to shook you, because Libras are so much, they want to see justice and harmony and balance, and they don't want to fight. So they end up just, let me fix this situation, and let me fix this situation, and let me fix that situation, because I want everybody to get along. But then they take themselves and they put them on the back burner. That is not justice. Sometimes you're creating harmony in areas harmony is not meant to be, and therefore you're stopping the healing. All right? And you're talking about the moon coming through this energy, emotional energy, as you're coming up to the eclipse, you're coming up to the new moon, you're coming up to the end and the beginning of a new cycle that's not just one moon phase, but 6. And asking if you're going to choose you or not. Then we're going to hit Scorpio, where it's going to be, I like to call Scorpio like a sexy Sherlock Holmes. In the form of Sherlock Holmes likes to solve all the problems. You can completely in Scorpio go overboard creating things that are wrong if you're looking for them. But Scorpio also wants the best things. It wants the sexuality. It wants the, the enjoyment of the transformation, the enjoyment of the magic. It wants to be part of that. But it can be over emotional. It is a water energy. And I was talking about a water tiger and a water rabbit. So which one are you closer to? As to which one are you needing to work more on? Because you don't want to be in that rabbit energy that's still full of fear and still being, attacked. You don't want the predators being able to attack you. You want to be smart enough to have that luck. These are the lessons that are getting you that luck. Then Sagittarius is all about taking it home. Taking it home and incorporating the energy and keeping yourself on that higher vibration as you do it. But you have a major amount of negatives this week. You have a T-square, which just means everybody ain't getting along. Having trouble coming to the same decisions. Having trouble coming to a decision that works for everybody as far as the planets go. And you have Saturn, which is not getting along with the North Node or Uranus, and it's not getting along with the South Node. That is going to place this right in the eclipse energy. So saying right off the bat, independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, having possession and harnessing your power or giving it away. And it all has to do with, will you stand up and have the courage to set the rules, laws, and boundaries in the outer world, your groups, your membership, and say, no, this doesn't work for me. Or will you just go, okay, sir, that's what I was told. I'll do that on my free time. Forget that. This whole life is your free time. I've been known to tell my bosses so many times when I used to work at the commissary and stuff. I worked at the commissary for a long time. And I was like, from the time I clock in till the time I clock out, I am on your time. That is what you're paying me for. But at 4:01, you can fuck right off because I don't work for you anymore. Now you're on my time. This life is mine, just like that life is yours. If it doesn't work for you, it's time for you to start acknowledging what you need to change so that it does work for you. It's that simple. Your roles, your walls, your boundaries, your independence, your integrity, your self-worth, your self-value, self-esteem, owning and possessions of yourself versus, well, I'd rather make the relationship continue to work and I don't want to have to fight, so I'll just... No, people, no. Chiron is also directly in opposition of Mercury, the wounded healer and the communication, meaning too many people are going to not want to speak up, or they're going to word vomit it because they weren't able to stay still long enough, patient long enough, control their emotions long enough. So you see the energy flying from all different directions. You have Chiron, the wounded healer, in your character, in your first house, how you view the world and how the world views you, whether you are calm, cool, collected, or hot-headed. Aries is very quick to speak its mind. It's a lot of me first energy. Chiron is wanting to bring that healing in, the wounded healer. But directly across in Libra is Mercury, that communication. Of course we want harmony and balance and justice, but we don't want to give it away and then not get any of it for ourselves. That is the point. Then that energy is not getting along with Pluto, nor is it getting along with Lilith. So this is saying the outer world versus submissive energy. Are you going to start being the authority in your life? Or are you going to continue to be submissive? Now you have the sun, which is not getting along with Pluto either. The sun and Venus in the 8th house, where you have this eclipse coming in. This new moon, new beginnings, new direction for the next 6 months. And it has 2 weeks later, it's going to have a lunar eclipse in Taurus. So you got 2 weeks of going, did you get the memo? And it's directly speaking to Pluto. Again, the outer world. Your work, your environment, your society. And are you having any control over your life, or have you given all control and power away? This is taking back your power. You have Pluto, which also is not getting along with Lilith or Pallas. The Athena, the warrior goddess, strategic thinking and submissive energy versus let the world just tell you what to do. Well, you strategically slow down, pay attention, acknowledge everything. That water tiger of Chinese zodiac is reminding you to slow down, be still, and observe. Make sure you're seeing everything for exactly what it is, so that you are not being submissive and taking away your inner emotional security, self-sabotaging it, and just giving it away. And lastly, you have Mars and Jupiter are not getting along. Mars again is in your heart energy, your heart chakra right now, your inner warrior, versus your Jupiter, which is about to go back into the 12th house. Jupiter is trying to warn you where the self-sabotage is and where you're still avoiding acknowledging it. Mars is trying to simply tell you, can we do this right? Can we not blow up and then regret it later? Can we do this right from a soulful perspective so that we can truly come into fruition with our growth? Because we're setting 6 months of growth. I love you guys. And I will go back and read all the comments later. Bye. I'll see you next week.